Shri Ram, Shri Ram.
Srimate Ramanchayan Mahat. My name is Parthasarathi Namburi. You can call me Parthasarathi Ramanujadasan. I have a YouTube channel which is called Partha Ramanujadasan, which I newly started. And basically, I wanted to interview Sri Rangarajan Narasimhan Swami because he has a wealth of knowledge and he's also a person with a good heart and a lot of experience, not only in the materialistic world, but also in the spiritual world. And I've learned a lot from him. He's actually like a mentor for me. And I think there's a lot of wisdom that can be gained to the youth, and not just the youth, everyone out there who's seeking to know how should I lead a life in a good manner and in an ethical manner, and also benefit society and all beings around us. So let me just give a quick background on myself. I was born and brought up in the US. And essentially I created companies and I made money in the US, but I became more attracted to the spiritual path, and I got some Ashranams from Chinnadir Swamiji, and essentially the spiritual path has led me to learn a lot in different ways in Sri Vaishnavism, and I just wanted to take this interview because I believe that whether you're in the materialistic world, spiritual world, or whatever world, this will definitely be useful for you. So without further delay, I welcome Sri Rangarajan Narasimhan Swami.
Srimate Ramanuja.
Srimate Ramanuja. So the first question I want to ask you is, should temple construction be prioritized over environmental and social welfare projects?
Temple construction is important, but what our Purvacharyas say is to preserve what is existing and then ensure that is optimally functioning before starting a new temple. What they say is basically it is much better to preserve one temple rather than building 1,000 new temples. So the amount of punya that one is supposed to get building 1,000 temples is equal to the amount of punya that one will get by preserving an existing temple. That is exact. I'm not saying that is exact number of measures, but to give you a dimension on how important is it that our Purvacharyas or Acharyas have said to protect our existing temples. It is important to build temples in places where there are no temples. People are expanding in the universe, wherever they want to, the world is expanding in that sense. While building a temple, the environment is automatically taken care of by the Shastras, Agami Shastras, based on which temples will be built. So, it is not either this or that, it is together. If you have decided to build a temple in a place where there is no temple, let's say in the nearest locality, let's say 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers, there are no temples. Then if you want to build a proper temple, then you can build, so that people in that area don't have to travel too far to visit a temple and then to learn about things that they should learn from a temple. So in that area it is okay to build a temple. But when you do that, do it as per the Shastras, what they say. So you should know, you start with Agama Shastras. Agama Shastras tell right from the place where it starts from locating the place where you have to build the temple and how the temple has to be structured, including the environment. If you take a temple, it is just not, today's temple are all small compounds, which is actually not the way that Shastras prescribe. You want to look into temples, you could look into temples like Srirangam, Kanchipuram, Digvijayanas that are there. You can see a lot of huge temples surrounded by groves, surrounded by agricultural fields, surrounded by Nandavanam, which is called the flower garden. Everything will be there. It will be an eco-centric place. So all those things are part of the Shastras, which says these must be in these areas, and this is how the temple must be built. So if somebody is wanting to build a temple, they should not go ahead and then buy a 40 by 60 property or 120 by 80 property as the person allows them to do. They should ensure that they have enough property, at least an acre property, at least 2-3 acres properties. So they build a complete structure as per the Agama Shastra, and that location is not as per your whims and fancies. That should be in a location where the Shastra specify. These are all deep subjects. Right now, the practice is that people build a temple wherever they have a property. That is not the way the temples were built earlier. In fact, if you ask me, I have no proof for what I am going to say now, is that nobody owned any land in those days. Land was common for people. How I say this is because there were grazing lands. Anybody can graze anywhere. Anybody can go and then start cultivating anywhere by having a place there. That is how the olden days were in India, as I'm talking about. I do not know about this. At least in India, a cultural civilization was there where nobody owned the land. Every land vested with the king, and based on king's permission, people were allocated lands where they can lead a life. And that is always eco-friendly, its goal. So, to answer your question, it is not two different stories, it is one and the same. Environment is part and parcel of the temple. And when you build a temple, build it as per Shastras, in the way Shastras are designed. So you have, if you build a temple, if you come to my house in Sri Lanka, you know, you have been there. I have built my house without any cement and steel. I used only lime mortar in the whole. It is much more eco-friendly than having cement structure. And you know that I don't have any air conditioning in my house. In Sri Lanka, it is hot during the summer, and I stay without a fan because of the way the built temple was. My house was built. Similarly, a temple must be built in such a way where it is eco-friendly, it has got lesser carbon footprint, and it has got longer life. So these are the points that I can think of.
I have a follow-up question, and it's basically that in terms of environmental and social welfare, does building a temple promote that?
That's what I said just now. Yes, it does promote. Provided the temple is built as per the Shastras, not in a 40 by 60 ground.
Okay.
If you can't do anything there. You will have only the temple and the Sannidhi for the main deity. If it is Balaji, it is Balaji. If it is Rangana Swami, it is Rangana Swami. There won't be anything much there. There are so many temples. You go to Nanganallur, there you can see 10 dozen temples in Nanganallur, which is built in 60 by 40 properties. Very grand, so eco-friendly, etc. etc. But if you look into Sri Lanka temple or Kanchipuram temple, or Tirumala for that matter, Tirumala is in the middle of an ecosystem, right? Middle of 7 hills. So it is friendly only. So a temple is that where you get a situation where you get an environment where your sattvic part of your this thing is elevated. We are built with 3 gunas, right? Sattvic guna, Rajasa guna, and Tamasa guna. Based on the way we live, where we live, one of these 3 gunas are an upper end. Spirituality is all about increasing the sattvic guna and then reducing or suppressing the. So a temple must be in a place. The temple is a place where you go for spiritual upliftment. So it should be built in a place where your sattvic guna is given an elevation. See, nowadays people who are in the city, in the mad race, vacuums, when they get a vacation, what do? They go to hill station to spend some time in nature. Why? Because when you go to the hill station, your sattvic guna automatically comes up when you are in a environment which is natural and eco-friendly. Temple must be like that. Every single temple must be like that. It should be like a resort where you can go and rejuvenate. That was the purpose of the temple. You have so much of issues in your family, issues in your life, personal life, social life, etc., etc. And then you are bogged down with it. You want to get away from that. You can't get away on a daily basis to some Munnar or some hill station in Ooty or etc., right? So you can probably go to a temple where You will have nice fragrance, nice ambience. Perumal is there. You can have good sattvic feelings. You can pray without having any self-interest for the Perumal. So such a temple must be built in such a way. If that is done in such a way, your spiritual upliftment has got a chance. But nowadays, all the temples have become commercial complexes. All the natural elements are being destroyed. For example, I am from Sri Lanka, and you know that in Sri Lanka there was a well only for storing ghee. Now ghee is a very famous topic today, right? In those days, people used to bring ghee from their home and then deposit in that well. There was a well. Today that well is being used as a drainage inside the temple. So many grooves of the temple have been demolished, destroyed in the so-called renovations. And we keep losing the natural part because we want to accommodate the large number of devotees. What happened in Tirumala? The 1,000-pillar mandapa was demolished. For what is the reason? They say too many people are coming, we need to accommodate. So they spoil the old constructions in the name of renovation, in the name of giving facilities to devotees, so-called devotees. And you are actually trying to replicate what you have at home or at your office or in the society inside the temple also, which defeats the purpose of the temple. Purpose of the temple is to ensure that you leave yourself out and then be part of a society with Perumal as the main focus. So as in Sri Vaishnava, our purpose is to be of Kankariam to Perumal, and that is achieved in a temple. This must be the goal for a temple. If you are building a temple, the goal must be to ensure that the person goes there, gets the understanding that Perumal is the master and I am the slave. Perumal is the one that I have to serve him without any self-interest. So that kind of emotion must be kindled in a temple. If you build a temple you want to build a temple which will kindle this emotion, then you have to have an ambience where you have the natural elements also part of it. So, again, the first question I said the same thing, the second question I said the same. And if you go as per the Shastras and build as per the Shastras, all the natural elements like the Shastras will say there must be a groom where you have lots of trees, mango grove, coconut grove, this etc. wherein fruits are there. There will be agricultural fields where you have the rice, wheat, etc., and the seeds, etc. And there will be a pond, the natural pond will be there. And there will be a flower garden called Vrindavan. And there will be a Vasanta Mandapam for Perumal, which is actually surrounded by water. These are all natural elements, all the five nature, all the Panchabhutas will be there. Seen and observed and absorbed in our mind. When you go to such a place, if there is a place that exists today, no place like that. Of course, Tirumala, the location is fine, but the whole place is crowded. With all shops and all nonsense which is coming. Imagine Tirumala to be a resort. A resort, the people don't allow to construct shops left, right, and center, right? They want to preserve, right? Tirumala must be preserved in such a way. If you do that, Tirumala has got so many waterfalls. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. The natural beauty that is there is abundant. Everybody goes like a horse with a closed eye. They just go there, stand in the queue, have darshan for 30 seconds, and then go home, eat something, the laddu that is sold outside, thinking that it is prasad, then eat on one of the hotels from there, and then go home. They fail to explore the place. There is something called Akashaganga. There is something called Papa Vinasam. These are all the places many people don't. Now it is getting little bit promoted. But when you promote something like that, with so much of a crowd, that place is also becomes tourists. So there has to be a balance, and that has to be only done by the temple administration. Places like Tirumala, we can enjoy. If you go in the rainy season, you will enjoy it. I have done it many times when I was in my studies and I was doing my stunt. So you walk up and then you experience the nature, you understand the silence, Now there is no smell and with it. But you can experience all these things when you go by walking on the footstep, on the new path. And nowadays people have cars, they just drive, go fast, come back fast, then again get back to the vehicles. To cut short, temple must promote the natural elements, and it has great result. And instead of building more and more temples, you preserve the existing temple. If there are no temples in the vicinity, you of course try to build a temple which is having all these things in its context. It is not a commercial entity. It is a spiritual space. So you got to keep that in mind, and you don't have to invent that. Shastras have it. Some people are saying that you don't have to read any scriptures. Without reading scriptures, you can't understand anything. You will not know anything. Scriptures are there to tell us. They are our guides. You cannot just throw them away. You should look into the scriptures, talk to people who have understood the scriptures, have a discussion. Instead of having a discussion with the architects and the engineers, have a discussion with the people who have read the Shastras. Ask them what are all the things that a temple is built for what? Not for you to go and not only for you to go and then have darshan. It is for the God to reside there. Perumal is going to reside there 24/7 for the rest of the life. Rest of the life of the universe. It's not going to be a small duration. We have a limited duration, a max of 100 years. Perumal is going to be there for ever, beyond our mind. That is how temples were built in India. In the north part of India, those temples were destroyed by the invaders. In the south part of India, there are so many temples which are still standing tall, still majestic, still being utilized, and they are serving a purpose. It is the intervention of the human beings, intervention in the religious affairs of the temples, by the administrators, by the government, by the political parties, by the wealthier people, which has ensured that the temple has lost its purpose today. It has become more a commercial. So if you are building a temple, keep that in mind and then build it.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot to capture in, but I think it's one of the biggest messages that I got out of this is that temples shouldn't be a commercial entity. And if it becomes commercialized, then we're basically, we may get into a situation where commercialization is a priority over environmental welfare.
You know why commercialization is capitalism? You want to make money.
Yeah.
So when the moment money is in your focus, what will you do? You will take shortcuts.
Yeah.
You will destroy things you will try to take advantage, you will exploit. Because money is your goal. In temple, money should not be a goal.
Yeah.
Elevation spiritually must be a goal. Attaining moksha must be our ultimate goal. And then we should have a path towards that, to gain moksha. And this is the purpose.
Yeah.
That is why commercialization is bad.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for answering that question. So my next question is that is it ethical to accept donations from people who made money unethically?
Tough question. It is ethical to take donations, that much I can answer. How do you know if the money is made unethically? It is not possible for us to discover. But I can quote an incident in the life of Manavada Mahamanigal, where when Manavada Mahamanigal has gone out for some reason, somebody has come to his mind, and then he wanted to donate many things, including rice, food, grains, etc. And he waited and waited. Manavada Mahamanigal was not to return. This guy was in a hurry. So what he did is he said, I will leave this and then go because I'm in late. And Swami comes in, please let them know that he does me go. Yes. Swami came and he saw everything, all cereals and rice, everything, oils and coconuts and vegetables, everything stacked up in his place. And Manavada Swami asked, who gave this? They replied, such and such person came and he came. He knew that he is the money, he is not a Sri Vaishnava. Sri Vaishnava is supposed to be somebody who is doing things in the right way for the right purpose. And he said, since he is not a Sri Vaishnava, I don't want these things. I cannot consume anything that is coming or Sri Vaishnava. So please return. Yeah. So that tells that the whatever you receive should be from a person who is a good person, who is a Sri Vaishnava. This will hold good for any Sampradaya. This is a story that happened in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. That doesn't mean that only Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya should follow this. This is a generic principle. If I am a Saivik and if I have Shiva as my God, then to receive something from somebody who probably has a mentality where Vishnu is the God or Shakti is the God is probably not right for me. That's something. So, this is from Sampradaya's perspective. Why I am bringing Sampradaya is basically is that Sampradaya tells you to live in a certain way. We don't call it religion. In India, there are no religion. We have Sampradaya. Religion is a word borrowed from the Westerns. It's an English word. Or maybe it is in Latin or I don't know the root of it. So, they have strict religious doctrines written by somebody which is a human, etc. But here we call it Sampradaya. Sampradaya means marga. It is a way, path towards to go to moksha. And what is moksha? To get rid of this birth-death cycle. Only in Sanatana Dharma you believe that there is a birth and a death and a birth and a death and a not and back. No other so-called religions in the world has got this concept. So they are born for whatever reason they do not know, and they die for whatever reason they do not know. What happened before their birth they do not know. What has going to happen after their birth they do not know. But in Sanatana Dharma, it tells that what happened in this birth is being carried over towards the next birth, and what happened in the previous birth is being carried over in this birth. What is that? What that is getting carried over? The papa and the punya. Your karma has resulted in some papa and punya. I mean, there are no English equivalents for the papa word in papa and punya. Some may call papa as sin, but I don't want to use that word sin. And I don't know what equivalent word they have for punya, I do not know, but I will use punya as punya and papa as papa. So, what you do is going to decide on how you are going to be born in your next birth. And what you do in this birth is going to decide on how you are going to be born in the next birth, or if you are going to be liberated from birth, let's say karma. So, Sanatana Dharma always promotes a person to be in a good space. So, such is a core philosophy. That means anything that you are going to get associated with must be good. So, if you associate yourself with something which is not good, that gives you power, that means that you are going to be stuck in this world, in the birth cycle. So it is very, 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 very important to find out from whom you are getting money or anything. If somebody is giving you a dhoti, is it the person, did he get it in proper ways or not? Must be something that you should worry about. Whether you will be able to find it or not, it is a different story. That is the reason Ramanuja said, Ramanuja Divyajna Vardham Abhivartanam, we say every day in every single temple and every house of a Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya person, right? What is that Divyajna? Ramanuja gave one order, the holy order, to ensure to the Tondaiman Chakravarti, who was the king at that time in Tirumala, who was worried about Ramanuja not coming back after the last time, and he was worried how the temple is going to be maintained. And Ramanuja said, don't worry, have Sri Vaishnavas maintain this temple. The temple will be on. The moment you have somebody else, you will have an issue. So ensure that anybody and everybody who comes to the temple is a Sri Vaishnava. So Satsanga is important. So if you are in Satsanga, then you will definitely know the person from whom you are receiving things. The ethics is a very deep subject. It's very not easy for us to cover even in 5-6 days. It is probably a lifetime subject. But you should know from whom you are getting what kind of a person he is, how he is making money. Is he cheating somebody, or is he evading taxes, or is he doing some illegal stuff to get you the money, etc., etc. You must know. And you should, based on Marwan Mamaligar's story, it is very clear that we cannot accept such money. But how do you find if the person is ethical or not is a $1 billion question. It's not possible for us to judge. But like I said, if there is a satsanga, and that satsanga will bring you good people with good vibrations, with good sattvic gunas, which will ensure that spiritual upliftment will happen for everybody and everybody who comes to the place. So that is what you can think about. So to answer your question, it is very difficult in current days to judge a person whether he is make money, but you should know. 5-10 rupees is fine. 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, you should think. 5 crore, 10 crore, you should think very lot more. 500 crore, 100,000 crore, you should think really deep. That's all I can say.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think this spreads a great message for the youth, and not just the youth, everyone in society, that making sure that doing what is like getting money from the right source. And
you know why? I will tell you the reason why. When we go to pay to Perumal, we give the best of what we have to eat.
Yeah.
Be it flowers, be it food, be it chandan, the sandal, be it the dress that he wears, be it the jewels that he is adorned. Everything is the best, right? But what is that best means? The purest of the purest, right? So when you give money, that must also be the purest, right?
Yeah.
So how you obtain money to give to temple is important. I will flip the question. You ask me whether you can accept money from somebody. I will flip the question and put the onus on the person who is giving the money. Then that will solve the problem. If I am giving money to somebody, a temple or for a good cause, a spiritual cause, then it is for me to decide, because I know that I am making it ethically or unethically. I know, I can decide, so I can tell, okay, unethically bought money, I should not buy somebody thinking that it is going to give me punya. It is actually going to give more papa to me than punya. So that puts a restriction on me to start working ethically. So I will only make ethical wealth. When I make ethical wealth, I can donate it. I have no issues. So the onus I am flipping it rather than asking whether you will accept money from an unethical source. I will say, I will be the ethical source to give money.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if you're the ethical source to give the money, then you have to give it to a place where it's ethically managed.
Obviously,
right?
that is why we have acharyas. Acharyas, at least in Vaishnav Sampradaya, there are enough number of acharyas who are appointed by Swami Ramanujacharya, 74 Sinmatam Mandis, and several Madhatititis are there, G.S. Swamis are there. And apart from that, Marwan Mamaligar also installed 8 Ashtadiggaja acharyas, and that lineage is there today. And in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, you know where to go. Similarly, other Sampradayas will have a lineage. It is Sanatana Dharma is about Guru Sishya Parampara, right? So that if you are, that is why it is very important that you find a Guru who has got a Parampara, who has got lineage. Not somebody who says, I am the Guru, I know everything. Not the corporate Swamis, or what we say, corporate Babas. If you can't go behind, because there is no lineage. So you can't, you don't know whether they are ethical or not. Whatever they are bringing inside their ashram, who knows God. We hear dime a dozen stories. For all these ashrams, all these corporate Babas, right?
Yeah.
So we got to be very careful. And the onus is also now on the ashram, the acharyas. Right? Now when I said the money maker is ethical, the money receiver is also ethical because he is from a parampara. If he is from a parampara, then he will be bound by the rules and regulations of that parampara. Parampara is the lineage.
Yeah.
So, that puts a checks and balance on both the sides. That is the ideal state where we were before the invasion. The invasion is what which characterizes.
Got it. So, in today's world, would you say that we could blindly trust the acharyas or acharya purushas that hey, if we donate money to them, it's going to be used for an ethical purpose?
You have to trust. We can't be questioning anything. You have to know. I mean, if I am giving money to some cause, let's say for example, this is a good question. Instead of talking about acharyas, there are so many people who think that donating money is the end of their job. So people look into the internet, suddenly in YouTube there will be an ad which is coming, Goshala, you will maintain cows and etc. etc. You get moved because of these videos and then you donate money. You send $500, $1,000 to get through. And then you think that you have done a great job without doing the due diligence of who they are, whether they are doing it properly, whether they are maintaining those cows properly, whether they are protecting the cows properly. So it is your job, your responsibility to find. You don't have to be in a hurry to donate. But if you have the urge to donate, there's a huge difference between having an urge. So you have to spend time to understand the organization. There are so many people who are donating for destitute women, orphanages. Whether the money is going really to the person who is supposed to go, we do not know. So don't go by the YouTube clips. Take your time to visit the place. For example, recently in Tamil Nadu, last Monday, I visited a temple called Vallalar Temple. This is somewhere near point of Chennai. The fundamental principle of the Sampradaya is to have compassion with all living things. All living things. The vision of the person, the saint, who actually formulated the Sampradaya, his name is Vallalar. The vision of Saint Vallalar is to ensure that nobody is left with hunger. Everybody must be fed. Everybody must be cared for. But when I went there and I saw the place, we all know this is beautiful. You heard these things. You see some videos. And then you donate money to the organization of the temple from that. Because today you have a barcode, you can scan it and you can GPay it or Paytm it from anywhere in the world, right? And then you feel happy. I have done a good job. But what is happening in reality there, you should see. When I went there, I was so pathetic, and even now I am telling you, I am very, very depressed in what I saw. The state of affairs of the people that are there is pathetic. Not even a dog should live a life like that. That is the kind of situation where the people are today. The original intent of the Acharya for that Sampradaya, Vallalar, is to ensure that people have a quality life. They are taken care of compassionately. Not only to human beings, but also all living things. But for human beings, their life is even worse than a dog's life. The way where they sleep, where they eat, and where they dwell, it is pathetic. I can't describe it in words. So, there is a huge disconnect between the donations and the reality. The caretaker, when I went there and the caretaker says, I'm fine, everything is fine here. We don't ask anything. Such is the kind of noble thought that is for. He thinks he cannot ask anything for help. People should donate voluntarily. But how can you donate voluntarily without even knowing what is happening? They were sleeping on a rotten wooden slab. So they need a bed, right? How do you know they need a bed? Unless you go there. If you don't go there, you give the money to somebody. How do you know that the person who is receiving the money is actually going to that place? If you look into the place, there are 10 or 20 other ashrams. old age homes. They are encroached property, they are charging money for the inmates. This one which is not charging anything for anybody is a pathetic state. Why I am saying this story is to make you understand that when you give money, that is not the end of it. And then you cannot say the person receiving money must be ethical. It is your responsibility to ensure that the money is being sent to the person for the reason, spent for the reason that is actually meant for. So you have to take you cannot sit in America and then say, oh, I will send dollars, and that's where it is, the person who is receiving must be ethical. It is your responsibility. You should visit at least once or twice in a year. Take turns. If you are 10 donors, every donor will at least visit you once a month, once in a year. So 12 months are there. So every month there is a person who is visiting to ensure that your money is being spent properly. And that is how you should, whether it is Goshala, whether it is an orphanage, whether it is another, whatever may be the cost, noble cause that people want. So rather than assuming and then blaming the person who is receiving the money, I will blame the person who is giving the money, because he is not doing enough job. It is like crossing half the well. You cannot say, I will jump half the well, I am successful. What happens if you jump half the well? You will go down. You got to cross completely. You want to jump and then be successful. So there is no two things about it in my opinion. My words may be strong. People may not like what I am saying. But I see money being misappropriated. I see it on day-to-day basis that money is getting misappropriated. It is not used for the cause for which it is being sent. And that is not because of the person. The person may lose track of what he is supposed to do. He may not be a good manager. I am not blaming the person entirely. He may be a crook also, we do not know, for all that matters. Who is trying to exploit people. So you either you come at least once in your lifetime to see if the Goshala is properly functioning, or you get somebody to employ somebody to manage your funds. If you are living abroad, outside of India, and you are in Naki, and you want to donate, say $10,000 every year. Of the $10,000, segregate, let's say $1,000 for managing the fund. So $9,000 will be spent, and that $1,000 will be given to the person who is going to manage them. I'm just giving you one option. You can skin a cat in 1,000 ways, but I'm just telling you, this is what comes to my mind. That you should appoint somebody. That means you are actually creating a job, and then you are putting a person who is answerable to you, and who can act as a bridge between the fund and the recipient. That way you can ensure that the funds are all properly utilized. If the funds are misused, you can cut the fund, or you can ensure that the fund is utilized properly. Either way, one of that you can check.
I think that's a beautiful message.
Because I see a lot of people abroad sending money.
Yeah.
If you look at my website, I said don't send them. I very clearly said, if you don't understand what I am doing, please don't send money.
Yeah.
Especially I said, don't send money from abroad. I don't want money. I very clearly said that. I can't receive it legally also. There is a restriction in the law to receive money from abroad. But if you are wanting to do, you should learn the organization, learn the person who is doing. It's not going to be difficult. You spend so much of your time watching a movie, watching a football game, watching whatever it is. Right?
I don't much, but
I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about generally people.
Yeah.
You indulge in sensual pleasures. These are all sensual pleasures. Right? You go to a restaurant and eat happily. You go to a football game, watch it. You go to a movie and then watch it. You spend time in a resort. You go to places. All these things are all sensual pleasures. You do that. When you spend so much of time in all those things. Even if you want to buy an iPhone, you go through YouTube videos and then look at all the reviews. Check whether it is iPhone 15 and iPhone 16 same. Check it, right? and then you say, oh, this is only the name, number is different, everything else is the same, then you make a decision. Similarly, spend some time understanding the person that you are actually. 2 weeks back somebody sent me a message saying that I am supporting this organization so long, I encourage you all to spend money, donate. Good message. But I would like to know more about the organization before spending. I will definitely support, because if I know more, I probably give more. Otherwise I will give $10. Maybe I would give $100 if I know more. So it is important for me to spend the time to understand the organization which you are wanting to support financially. And then make sure that in your mind, once you commit, you are not going to doubt that person. There is no point in giving money and then doubting at that person. Without doing any other than doing a transfer. Fund transfer. You can't just let that wait there. You should check. You should know what the person is doing, what the organization is doing, whether the orphans, how many orphans are there. Are there more? Are there less? Do we need more? Participate. So, since you are an NRI, I'm just addressing NRIs now. All these people who are in US or
I'm a US citizen.
Yeah, I know. All those people who are in US, all those people who have migrated to US or gone for a job or to Australia or to London, to Singapore, or any of the first world countries, they think it is a noble thought to support financially. I was like that. I was also living in US and I was working in US, in other places as well. When I was working, when I was not having enough understanding of the reality, I also donated money without knowing, because if somebody comes and asks, $10 only, we can give him. $100 we can give, so we can let's part this money. We are spending for pizzas and other things. Why can't we give it? We give, which is good. But I am saying take it a step further. Many of the people ask me, how can I support you? Many NRIs ask me, how can I support you? I am living in Switzerland. I am living in Australia. How can I support you? You can't support me sitting there. You have to come here to support me. The only way you can support me is to understand me properly. People say that I support you on Twitter. They don't know what I do. But what is support on Twitter? Nothing. You following me and liking my post is not support. You getting active in what I am doing. Even if you are not doing anything, at least understand what I am doing. Spend the time to understand what I am doing. Not make judgments in a quick second. Spend time to understand the organization, the person, the team that you are supporting. Try to enhance them. Try to contribute them as one of the member of the, not just as a funder. Funding does not end with just the money transfer. It should ensure that the fund, every single rupee of the fund, is being utilized for the purpose for which it is sent. And you cannot do that unless otherwise you understand the organization which you are supporting.
I think that's a very great message, because in today's time, it's so easy to send money maybe within a couple minutes or something done. But the proper due diligence is definitely needed to ensure that every single penny is used properly. Thanks for that message. Okay, we have a lot more questions to go, and so I think we should move into have a part 2 separately. So we're gonna close this up.
Yeah, like the attention span of people is very less. It can't be going forever. Yeah, we can do it in multiple parts, not an issue. I am happy that young kids like you are asking questions. I want more of you to ask questions, so you know the answer first hand on what you are actually going, even rather than relying on a second-hand information. First hand, and I am glad to have listened to you. Who will go on the she's very bad now.
Sripate Ramajanma. Thank you so much for having me, and it was very insightful. And I feel like every single moment that we spend in life should be done making sure that we live it ethically, and I think you're a great inspiration for that.
I am glad.